What's up, everybody? It's Jeremy with Fluge Brothers Chimney Service. This is your Fireplace Friday. A little rainy outside today, a little chilly. Man, the weather really dumped on us, but hey, that's a good sign for us. It's always busiest this time of year. Phones were ringing off the hook, and people are thinking about their fireplace and things. So, again, I think I've said it before. This is the busiest time of year, and we get extremely busy. So, be respectful, patient, things like that with your chimney companies because they're doing their best. They are working night and day, trying to get to everybody and help everybody as they can. Probably not the best time of year for those odd big projects or odd, hey, I need, I want to do this and remodel the entire fireplace and everything. Those are, or a lot of brickwork on the outside of the house and things like that. It's definitely a good time. A good time of year for that is typically, after the first part of the year, maybe March, April, May, June, July. On those bigger projects. This time of year, it's basically let's maintain it. Oh my gosh, I got a little problem. Let's solve those little problems and keep going, and then get to the bigger stuff. The masonry and the maybe the bigger project stuff and things. Later on when it's warmer outside, because cold winter weather, and who knows if it's going to snow tomorrow, who knows it's raining today, how cold it's going to be, things like that. It does hinder services, and then it gets frustrating for the homeowner, frustrating for the chimney company, because they're trying to juggle tons and tons of people. And so, when you call in and if you have a question or something, it usually takes a little while for people to get back to you because we're servicing out there. So, did a big talk 2 days ago, for the Johnson County licensing division, which is contractor licensing, and they needed to learn about fireplaces and stuff. So I did a big, long 4-hour class on that. Turned out real well. I think it was well received. Wanted to get the word out on fireplace facings and a lot of the problems and misnomers that we have, and that's one thing I want to go over today because we just had 2 phone calls today, and one of them was a customer that when we went out and did an inspection, their chimney had collapsed, and they had went to a local shop, and they wanted to, I don't know if they didn't pass the information on well enough or what have you, or what, but they called us asking, about, I want to put in these gas logs, and so obviously I had second guesses, but for some reason, a lot of people think gas logs solve chimney problems. They do not solve chimney problems. They don't solve your smoking issues. They don't solve your drafting issues. They don't solve your damage, erosion problems over time, because most of the chimney problems we see are chimneys that have never had any work done on them. They might be 30, 40, 100 years old, and they've never had any maintenance. They've never had any work done on it. So it's just common to think it's probably going to need some work. And what work is it? Well, we don't know until we get out there and we do a full inspection. But if you're going to get an appliance, or hey, I want to put in gas logs or something, this is a testament why it's so important to get an inspection, a proper inspection. We're getting a lot of calls this time of year too. I think this person didn't do a very good job. I called, and their price was very attractive, maybe $150, maybe $200, whatever, $189 to come out and do an inspection. They were here for 30 minutes. They shined a flashlight, or better yet, their camera phone light up my fireplace, and then told me I had 10, 15, 5, whatever, thousands of dollars that needs to be done. Well, didn't provide any photos, didn't provide a very good report, some chicken scratches or whatever. Well, that's unfortunately, that might be what you get, because there's no real major standard on service companies that everybody has to do the same thing for the same price and everything else. So when you run across a good, to get a good inspection done, you're probably going to be paying about $259, $289, $300, and they're going to be there for several hours getting this information gathered, going over everything with you, doing a complete service, not just shining a camera phone up into your chimney and going, yep, here's what's wrong. Nobody can see any of that. We run specialized cameras. We have a checklist So everybody's doing the same report, and then we upload all that to this fancy program that we've got called Service Titan that we use in our industry, in our company, and that speaks to the office live time, and we've got a supervisor checking those jobs, so you not only get one person, you're getting two people looking at your job, and then they're helping and working together. So it's a very thorough process. And of course, you know, we have to charge a little bit, but it's a benefit to you on what we do. But it's definitely not some $100, 20-minute take a peeky, tell you there's a ton of stuff wrong, not have anything behind it, no education behind it, and then run out the door hoping that you'll, you know, spend your money on whatever this fix is that they're suggesting, which hopefully it's a good fix and not just kind of smearing something onto something or whatever. But that's how people get taken advantage of. But the problem is a lot of people have never had their chimney done, and so they don't know what to expect. So that's why we do videos like this, and we try to help people along. Whether you use our company or not, we're not the company for every single person. That's why other companies, we work with other companies, and more than happy to give you a referral. But most people use us. Most people end up coming back around and using us. We get a lot of people who call 1 week, and then several weeks later they're calling and you know, they cancel because they can get someone sooner or someone cheaper or whatever, and then a lot of them call back and have us come out afterwards. So trying to not, hey, thanks, Mike Stewart, love the Fireplace Friday, I love you too, bud. So what I wanted to go over today is that common misnomer that gas logs are going to solve all your problems. So I always tell people, look, this isn't just the professional saying it. It's real easy. I just look at the manual. So I'm going to show you real quick. That was a big thing in my presentation that I did for the Johnson County licensing. And you might go, well, why are you doing all that, Jeremy? Why are you taking, it probably took you 20 hours to write that class. Well, first, I can probably use that information again. Second, we got to be educating other trades. They need to have some basic knowledge about fireplaces, because most a lot of people are getting their fireplaces refaced and they're not being done right. 90% of them that we run into, 90% are not done correctly. And most of the time, we can't see through the walls and everything. We're, you know, beating on stuff, trying to listen for hollowness, you know, trying to dig in a little bit in the areas you can't see so we can see. But if it was done right in the first place, we wouldn't have to worry about any of that stuff. And what do you know? You're not the expert. The guys that are doing the work should know what they're doing. I see on Facebook, even with chimney sweeps, I see on Facebook constantly guys asking questions that really the answer is you really should get more training and more education if you're working on this stuff, and you have to ask that, because Facebook isn't tech support, and guys aren't, you know, looking at the whole job. They're just kind of throwing out information because they're trying to help somebody. But the real help comes when I first got into this 20 some years ago. I think it was 22 years ago. I spent tons of money. I wasn't making a lot of money. I was spending money out of my own pocket, working 2 jobs, trying to get this business up and running. And I took a lot of time. I mean, most of these classes that I took were a week long, and I'd have to travel. So that adds on. So I might have been gone for 10 days at a time. And that's very expensive. It was expensive for me to take the day and do a presentation, thousands of dollars that the company, you know, is making, and I'm part of helping that go. And you know, you have to make that stuff in a day to get just over the bills and have all the nice stuff to be able to provide a good customer service to your customer. And so, you know, I don't feel that we're helping people a lot by kind of enabling them to try to utilize Facebook or some other media platform like that, when there's a lot of educational events and there's tons of stuff out there. You just got to take the time to invest in the number one investment you have in your life: knowledge, brain, things of that. No one can ever take that away from you. It's something you can invest in once, and you've got that. It's the best investment you can make in life, you know, short of, you know, retirement funds and everything else, paying off your debt. investing in yourself. So that's my little life tip for the day. Let's talk about gas logs. My screens just went off. Let me see if I can get them back up. So one thing I brought up in this class, it's very, very, very important that you look into the manual and read the manual. So, because a lot of people think, well, gas logs are going to solve my problem. They solve no problems. And I just wanted to show people this. Every set of gas logs, whether they're vented, vent-free, or anything, has a lot of warnings. Usually it's on the first few pages. You can look into the venting and stuff. But this is for a gas log set. It says gas log set is to be installed only in a solid fuel burning fireplace with a working flue constructed of non-combustible material. So what that's telling us is we can't just throw these into any situation. They're going to solve these problems. It'll say in there you got to make sure that you know it's venting properly, and you shouldn't put these appliances, gas logs, into certain situations. Again, just had a call. The guy's fluid collapsed, and he was at a fireplace shop trying to get gas logs, and that poor fireplace shop probably didn't know that his fluid collapsed because they're trying to sell him something. They don't want to sell him something that isn't going to solve a problem, or isn't going to help, or maybe even cause a hazard, that's exactly what he has. But I think he was going through those emotional deals where, man, I've got a lot of work that needs to be done. Let me try to find another angle for this. And unfortunately, there's just some problems that you just got to start over again. And that's a major problem on that. But another thing that all gas logs, all gas units and everything, and I get this when I go out and I talk to people, people will say, well, what do you do for a living? And I go, well, I own a chimney sweep business. And they go, oh, well, I guess I'll never need your service. And I go, why not? And they say, well, I've got a gas fireplace. It turns on with a wall switch or whatever. And I go, well, we'll see you eventually when it stops working. Then you're going to have to spend a lot of money. And, people don't realize that every one of those is supposed to be serviced annually or yearly, what have you, annually, to make sure it's working properly, make sure it's not throwing out carbon monoxide, make sure all the nasties are cleaned out and everything. And that's why typically we don't have just an inspection fee for our gas appliances, like our direct vent gas fireplaces, because I found out that when we go out, 90% of the problems that a lot of them are having are not as much as often, depending on how old the unit is, because everything has lifespans. It's not as often parts or the fireplace. It's typically, it just needs serviced. And it's 20 years old, it's never been serviced or whatever. And unfortunately, not servicing something leads to part wear and tear, and then those parts start going bad, so you're just basically spending more and more money. Or worst case scenario, like the one with the collapsed flue, service hadn't been maintained for so long that it damaged all that stuff, and now they're looking at a lot of money to fix that. So maintaining these things and realizing that everything needs maintenance, and gas logs are not a solve-all and they need maintained too, is a very important thing. Another customer called today. I overhear calls and stuff, and they thought we had done an install on their gas log set for a fireplace shop, which we used to do that a long time ago. We don't do it very often anymore. We try to stick with what we sell and install. It's a lot more fluid process. We're able to control things a little bit better and help people out better. But they said your name, Jeremy Biswell, was written on the top of this paperwork. That's my invoice, and my girl on the phone is talking her through it and going, well, I'm not seeing you in our system. I'm not seeing this. And she goes, oh, wait, that was the suggestion by the fireplace shop to have it checked out and cleaned and everything before I get these installed, and I opted to not do that. I just had them installed. Okay, well, how long ago was that? 4 years. And now it's not working. And by the stuff that she's saying is wrong with it, she might need a new set of gas logs on that, because the chimney wasn't maintained from the get-go. It wasn't inspected, and then been using this appliance for years and never had it serviced. Kind of like having a car and never changing the tires, never changing the oil, never maintaining it. It'll typically wear on the rest of the car, and then it just keeps on rolling up. More expense, more expense, more expense. So, moral of the story is if you don't believe, the service tech on what needs to be done, look at the manual. Look at the manual and read the manual. It's pretty kind of boring on stuff, but it'll have a maintenance section. It'll have all these warning boxes and stuff, and educate yourself a little bit. You want to hire a company that's going to take a little bit of time and educate you, because time's money. So if we're only charging this little itty bitty bit that won't cover, the business expenses and stuff, and they got to rush in and rush out, they're going to cut corners. They have to cut corners because they're not charging enough to provide a good service to you and educate you. And that's what it's all about. You need to know these things about your home. You're having fire in your house. You need to know how to use these appliances properly. You need to know warning signs and things like that. And that's our goal, is to help you with those. So be safe out there. I'm sure there's football games and all that other stuff going on this weekend. Hopefully it's a very nice weekend. Weather's still holding pretty warm. But do think about the fireplace. Just because it's a little warmer outside, maybe you're not using it as often. Maybe you think you're not using it often. But I know I'm using my fireplace quite a bit, because it's that weird temperature in between. My furnace will kick on and it won't kick on, so it's always a little chilly or it's a little warm in the house, because I don't have my AC on. I got my heater on, so if it's warmer outside, then that means it's going to be warmer in the house too. So if it's a little chilly, we're turning on our little gas fireplace with our remote, and it's an insert into our masonry chimney, and taking the chill off, especially with our house because we have hardwood floors, and then we're taking the chill back off. So, people don't realize the comfort level and how much you're actually using your fireplace, even when the weather hasn't turned extremely cold yet. So keep all that in mind. It's just put it on the schedule, keep the maintenance up on it, have it checked out. It'll save you money in the long run, just like all maintenance does. Save you a lot of headache. The appliance will work when you want it to, and life will be good, and you can check that off of that worry list and move on to bigger things in your life. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you next Friday, Fireplace Friday. Thanks.